Well, I think what we directed districts to do last week when we posted the safe return to school plans for every district, we responded to the school district's request for funding flexibility. We know this is a different school year. Typically, for funding purposes, funding is derived by physically having a student present in the school. We've said for this year, keep kids connected to their local schools. And districts have asked for that. They want to be compassionate and responsive to students. Many districts, I've mentioned some of them today, are doing precisely what you have mentioned, which is to provide a learning option to hold a seat while that student is transitioned back into school later in the year. And a number of districts are providing a number of options that match their innovation and background and the kinds of things that they can provide to students and families. So we'll expect that going forward. Obviously, catchment policies are clearly a school district responsibility. There will be some trade-offs and tough choices for them to make because there are some programs that are very well subscribed, but what we're seeing is districts reaching out to families, being flexible, allowing them to have accommodations based on their family circumstances, and that's what we expected. That's what we heard as well in the conversation we had with school district leaders. And I would note that some districts are completing now or have just completed their surveys. They're obviously analyzing those results, and they're using the funding that's just been announced today and the funding that's been announced previously and the funding flexibility that we announced last week to be able to put resources in place so that every child, no matter where they are in British Columbia, is connected to a learning program.
Do you have a follow-up, Camille?
Yes. What would you say to parents whose children are poised to lose their spot? And some of these schools seem to be having a temporary situation where the kids can stay at home, in situations where families have someone with a health condition until January, while others can have their kids home for about 5 weeks as part of the first semester. And then there's all of this uncertainty. 5 weeks is not going to be too long from now. What would you say to them?
Right. So look, what I'm hearing from districts is that they are encouraging students and families to familiarize themselves with the safe operation of schools. Some won't return next week. We understand that. That's why districts surveyed parents to see what their circumstances, what their intentions are around enrollment and registration. We're all living with a degree of uncertainty. That's part of life under this pandemic. Some school districts are going to offer certain transition back to school points in time. I know that the Vancouver School District, for example, has said they'll communicate with parents in December who have had their children involved in a remote learning program to talk about what the rest of the school year will look like. And we're going to be going through the next weeks and months, actively monitoring under the leadership of Dr. Bonnie Henry and our entire public health care system, keeping people safe in every community in BC. Schools will be responsive to family needs as they go forward, and I think as long as I'm seeing districts, and this is what I am seeing, are being compassionate and supportive of trying to keep kids and their families connected to schools, that's what we expect.